How do I start my own business?
Being my own brand would be totally legit.
I want to be the next Gary Vee.
My dream is to be on Shark Tank.
I'm just gonna Google it.
I mean, I'm awesome at social media. What could go wrong?
Oh my God. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Learning Curves. This is Kelly Vassetti, and I'm here today with my special guests, Brent Hallinger and Maggie Butler. They are with Local Union, a business consulting company located in Dunedin, Florida. They specialize in helping businesses scale by putting together a business plan and helping businesses make sure they follow through on that plan. I can't wait for you to hear from them. They're going to give us some great advice and also tell us about their story of how they got started. So, Maggie, can you maybe give us some insight about your company and how y'all got started?
Sure.
Great.
You did an awesome job describing what we do. We help small businesses all over the nation, but mainly our hearts are with Pinellas County and local small companies. And we help them build business plans and implement those business plans. So we, do specialize a bit in the startup phase, but we are very passionate about companies who are looking to expand. Maybe that's a second location, maybe that's a new product, or they're really looking to just scale their company like you mentioned. And what we do is help them understand what it takes to get to their end goal. And from there, come up with the prioritization list of how they can start today to make that happen. We also love working with banks and helping people get SBA loans, and a business plan is the first step of that.
Oh, that's so nice, because I know going through that whole process of trying to figure out how to get a loan and how to go through all that. I'm going through that right now with my business.
There's so many loops, and it takes a long time. But what a lot of people don't know are there are good ways to get around some of the rules that have been put in place. And a business plan is always kind of that first step.
And there's a lot of really great funding out there now for businesses as well.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, and the business plan helps you communicate what you're trying to do, and then working with the bank, they can give you those lending options. I mean, there's also private options if you know some real estate agents who can connect you with people in the area, but people need to know their options that are out there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, because you do have to have those extra funds if you're planning on scaling.
Absolutely. And if you want to scale maybe in 2-3 years, there are things you can do today to help your business. So building credit, saving money, finding investors. So anything that you think about in terms of investing for your business really can start today, or maybe should have started 2 years ago, right? So we really help people understand that.
Great. Do you help them with, you mentioned investors. Is that something that you help them with as well, finding people that might want to invest in their company?
It's not our specialty. We do have contacts that can help with that. We have a couple people right now we're kind of putting through that as well, but it's not really our specialty.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we usually steer towards a bank as the first option, and then if that doesn't work, we try to work out something else. But bank is definitely the option we go first.
No, makes sense. I know Tampa is big in the investment community right now, especially with companies.
Yes, absolutely. Some great companies exist to help people invest and fund their businesses.
Oh, great. Well, I love everything that you're doing with your business, and I think it's such a big need right now for a lot of our businesses are struggling in the marketplace right now. So can you tell me what are some of the things that you're seeing with a small business today? What kind of struggles are you seeing?
I mean, one of the first ones that we're seeing on a weekly basis is finding space. So people are really looking for commercial real estate space in Pinellas County, and
They are?
They
That's
are.
interesting.
In storefront, in like St. Petersburg, especially down in that Central Avenue area. And some of the challenges they're having are the rate increases. It's very similar to the housing market where there's not a lot of supply available right now, and people all want to be where there's the foot traffic. So there's limited space availability. Landlords are now raising prices pretty quickly to take advantage of the situation. So the space is at a premium, and finding the right small space that's less than 1,000 square feet, it's really tough.
Okay. Are you seeing that in any other areas here in Pinellas County as well?
We see that in Dunedin, absolutely. Right, you have in downtown Dunedin, I think it's a 99% occupancy rate for our commercial space. So there's nothing available for people to come into downtown Dunedin. I think anywhere you see walkability, we're having that pressure of availability versus demand.
Right. So a lot of these businesses are looking to be more like in the downtown busy areas.
Yes, and this is actually a great thing to talk to you about, right? For people who are retail heavy, a lot of people think being downtown, that's their main marketing strategy, right? The foot traffic. It's a good one for some businesses. For other businesses, it might not make sense to pay that level of rent for what they get being in a walkable area, but definitely, right, even downtown Palm Harbor, Tarpon Springs, we're seeing increased interest in being in those walkable locations.
Right. Yeah, if you're a service-based business, you don't necessarily need that.
Right.
There's different strategies. And I mean, outside of the commercial space, we, of course, see, you're hearing this across the nation, employment issues. So getting people to work for you that are skilled, high quality, and stay with you. Florida is so hospitality focused, and many of our clients are either retail or hospitality, and we really see the challenges of staffing, right? And that's something that's not just a Florida problem, it's across the country. At the same time, an interesting trend is I think COVID allowed people to start businesses, and now you have all these small startups who are kind of competing for the same space.
Yes.
So there's really a lot going on in kind of the economics of the small business world right now.
That's interesting. Yeah, so the retail and I know, are you seeing, I know the trend too is that the whole work from home thing that's happening right now, which is interesting. I know I have my building here that I have, and I've been looking to hire, and I'm always hiring or interviewing. I know a lot of the people that I interview these days, they don't want to come into work.
Right.
They want to stay at home. Are you finding that with other businesses as well that you've been working with?
Absolutely. We see that in pretty much all the service-based companies we help. That's why we started our business, to have more of a flexible life and be location agnostic. And I think that trend will just continue. And it's interesting in a community like Florida, which is, again, really hospitality focused, and that demands people are at their job when they have to be at their job, coming into the office. You also, there's so many dynamics. This is something I'm very passionate about, but you have Florida, which has a low increase in wages, but people are still moving here on a daily basis. And our housing market is increasing. So there's really kind of this weird volcanic environment of people can work wherever in the world. Will they come to Florida to work, or will they live in Florida and work for Atlanta, New York, Chicago-based companies, right? And so it's kind of this demand-supply thing that we're seeing companies we work with, but also just more generally across the United States.
Right. What kind of advice would you give to a company like mine that I own my own building, and I'm very old fashioned also. So I've been in business for 25 years. So this is like shock for me, to go through something like this. And there's a lot of other business owners like me. It's like, we have a hard time with that work from home because we like our employees to be around us, and we like the collaboration and all that. But realizing that if I want to scale my company, but I also own this building that I need, what am I going to do with it if people aren't coming in?
Right.
So I know other companies might be struggling with the same thing, as they have, nobody coming into their buildings to work. What kind of advice would you give to a company?
Well, I'd say be creative with how you're using the space. And I think that's one thing that when I first met you, I admired so much, is that you took this building, which I previously was unused.
Yes.
You turned it into a marketing media studio down below, which does have a kitchen as well.
Yes.
Have you ever thought about doing like a commissary out of that? Or is it registered for that? Because that's one of the complaints we hear from our clients as well, is needing space to cook.
Yeah. Well, for downstairs we do, but I have my main building, which is next door, is the one that there's like 7 of us, so it's pretty empty right now. And some employees want to work from home, and at some point we'll be scaling again. So it's like, what do you do with that extra office space? Or do you keep it? Do you just rent the building out? I don't know. I know there's a lot of other a lot of businesses that, more service-based businesses, I guess, where people are working from home and they're finding that they're empty in the office space side.
I think it's understanding as a business owner and a leader what you want for your company, and understanding what you will get and also lose with that strategy, right?
Yes.
There's no perfect, even if you allowed all of your employees to work remote, there's going to be big wins there, but there's going to be losses.
Yes.
If you require them to come into the office every single day, you might not attract the same type of talent. That's the word. Wow.
Yeah.
The same
quality,
talent.
yeah.
Right. But at the same time, you might be able to foster and train in a way people can't do remote. So it's really just understanding what are your long-term goals with your staffing, right? Do you want to bring people in maybe at a younger part of their career and train them and teach them, the way of doing things here, right? Maybe that means they need to be in the office a little bit more. But I think what everybody can take away is learning what is most valuable to the people you're bringing into your company and being flexible, right? Is it really they want to work from home all the time? Probably not, but they want to be able to say, hey, if I want to go work out of my parents' house and take care of my aging parents for 2 weeks, that should be a possibility, right?
Yes.
The other days, I want to be in the office and learning. So it's really having that flexibility and like resiliency within your company.
Oh, that's true. And I definitely offer that flexibility as well. I just thought that would be some great advice to give a lot of us business owners that kind of struggle with our old school mentality and trying to find new ways as we recruit, having the right strategy in place to get people to want to work for you.
Absolutely.
I've never had that problem before. I think I had to interview for my last hire 100 people.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is
I was ready
Yeah.
to pull my hair out. Like, nobody wants to work for you. It wasn't really that. It's, but finally found somebody and she loves it here, so it's good.
Good.
But I know we're planning on doing more in the future. So thank you for that advice. What other kind of struggles are you seeing and what kind of advice can you give?
I think people just generally right now are so focused on the short term. And we've had to be, right? We went through a huge pandemic. We are living in a time where sometimes we think we're in the clear, and then the next month, all of a sudden, there's another wave of, something that could disrupt our lives personally and also professionally. And because of that, we even struggle with this ourselves. How do you focus on the next 2, 5, 10 years when right now is so uncertain? But that's something that business owners really need to take into consideration is what does that long term look like? Not just, what does next year look like, but what do you want to do with your company or what do you want to do with your career at the end of it? And we really try and stress this with all of our clients. If you're just looking for a salary, owning your own business is probably not the right way to do it, right?
No, it's not. So you'll find out sometimes you're not going to take that salary.
Right. And it's so much work.
It is.
Instead, you're trying to build something that will help you retire easily one day, or you can pass on to your children, or you can sell. And so really having that mindset from the beginning, even if you're retiring in 30 years, right, is what can I do today to get me to that point? And then having that strategy in place. So it is a big struggle. I think people are just trying to make ends meet right now, as rightfully they should. But you also need to take that step back and kind of think more strategically about what's your long-term play as a business owner or as an entrepreneur.
Oh, that's great advice, because that was actually going to be one of my questions is how are you helping companies navigate through the struggles that they've been having over the last 2 years? Because it just seems like it's this roller coaster ride. It's like, it seems like, okay, as soon as things seem like it's getting a little bit better, then something else happens, like boom, you're back down here and then you're back up and then it's back, and it's very stressful, and it's,
Yeah, it is definitely a stressful time for small business owners. And I think one of the biggest ways that we help is being support networks for some of these other businesses and making sure that we're holding them accountable, putting goals out there. And if things aren't happening the way that our partners and businesses expect, then what are some of the actions we can take? The absolute worst thing you can do is just, take the ostrich approach where you just stick your head in the hole and just say things are going to get better. You always want to be finding ways to improve your business.
Yes.
Maybe you try different channels. Maybe it's different marketing tactics, or it's just getting your name out there. Some of the most successful businesses during COVID completely transitioned, and they served a function at that time. And then digitization was a big one. People moved more online, which was something that businesses should have been doing for 10 years.
Yes.
And then they played catch up.
right.
But the most successful businesses see opportunity that's out there by the market conditions and then create a strategy that implements that.
And I think more tangibly, Brent does this really well with our clients. It's coming up with what does success look like on a monthly, quarterly, and annual basis. And that really looks like understanding your KPIs, so your key performance indicators, understanding what metrics are important for your business and how do you measure success, right? So again, what is your goal? Where do you want to be in 30 years? Okay, you want to be here. What about in 5 years? What about in 1 year? Great, you know that number. There's probably a number in your mind. You want to make this amount of money. You want to have a certain number of sales, maybe a certain number of employees. From there, really understand, what are all the components? What money is coming in? What money is coming out? What should I measure? What is success? Maybe that's customer satisfaction. Maybe that's Google reviews. And what Brent helps people do is kind of write that out and track it on a monthly basis. And what we tell every person, even if you don't have a formal process, is once a month, you put on your CEO hat and you sit down with yourself or with trusted people in your company and you go over your numbers, your metrics, compare it to where you want it to be, and have that conversation like you are your own board of directors, and like give yourself, a little bit of a push. Like, hey, Maggie, why didn't you meet this revenue number this month? You were supposed to be here, but you're only down here. And then I have to answer to myself and say, you're right, I didn't, but next month, what can I do? I can increase my marketing spend. I can, reach out to customers to get feedback from them to see what I'm doing wrong. And every month have that process of what are the pain points? Where am I seeing myself succeed and not meet? And what can I do to change? It's all about being resilient again. And I think 2020 taught us resiliency was like the word of the year, but it's probably going to be the word of the decade for all of us.
I think it's going to be the word of the decade.
Yep.
Yeah. I think sometimes with business owners holding themselves accountable because they're so busy trying to hold their employees accountable and everything else, that's a really tough thing to do. Absolutely. So having consultants and people that we can, or mentors or whoever that is that can help us, making sure that we're doing what we need to do to keep ourselves together and keep our companies running, because it's hard right now.
It is hard. And creating that time and space, right? We, in our personal lives, we know if we go 100 miles per hour, we're going to burn out. And so we take time to take care of ourselves, right? It might be going to get your hair done. It might be taking a break, taking a nap, meditating. Personally, I think we've learned, and we're in a society that does value self-care.
Yes.
But for your business, you have to do it too. You have to take that time out and say, I have to step away from my customers for a little bit to self-care my business and figure out what's going on, reconnect. And a lot of business owners don't do that because they are so busy, but it should be your main priority because your employees see how you're acting. Your customers will see, right, at the end of the day.
Yes.
It's also a mindset, but again, just so hard because the last 2 years have been really difficult.
Yep, absolutely. Now, talking about that and going into the financing side of things, I think we talked about this before the show, is I think one of the biggest pain points for most small business owners, because I have a lot of friends that own businesses, and I know it's my biggest pain point, is finances. A lot of times because we have our specialty. I'm a great marketer. I'm a great visionary. I can come up with the, coolest, best, marketing ideas and explain Google Analytics to you and all that kind of thing. But when it comes to finances, I'm terrible at that. And I think, that's always important, right? But right now, because of the ups and downs that we're seeing happening, I think it's more important that we get a handle on that more than ever. So can you give us some advice on financing?
Sure. Yeah, I think this goes back to one of the struggles that we're seeing as well, is the American education system doesn't really teach people finances or taxes, which are basic budgetary things that happen on a monthly basis in people's lives. But what I always like to suggest is people map out where they want to go, put a number goal out there, break that into 12 months, understand your costs, and then track against those results. And it goes back to the checking in aspect. But if you're just managing your business by looking at your bank account, that's not really an appropriate way to manage your business, because it doesn't really let you know what sales goals you're having, costs. When you think about profit at the end of the day, there's two components. There's either sales and there's costs. If you want to increase your profit, you can either get more sales or you can decrease costs. Right. When you think about that, any business, no matter what business you're in, follows that same principle.
Yes.
So the more that you can grasp that, that's key to understanding how you're effectively managing your business.
At CEA Marketing, we take your business, your passion, and your why, and we sell it. If you're unsure where to start marketing your company, CEA Marketing is here to help. Our team at CEA has tons of experience and top-notch training, which helps you take all the stress and confusion out of marketing your own business. After years of working with large companies like Pulte Homes, the Outback Bowl, and Metro Places, we guarantee the successful implementation of a marketing strategy.
And line of business, I think, is pretty important. Do you want to talk about that too? In terms of, we have a lot of clients who have different streams of revenue coming in their business, or for example, we work with a landscaping company who both does landscaping and also owns a plant store, right? And so understanding what your business looks like at a whole, but also breaking that down for each line of business. Because what we learned when we worked in Delta Airlines, it's an airline, but within that, there are so many different divisions. And what's so important is each section of your company is profitable. And so often I think as business owners, we're like, oh, well, if one's doing great, the other's just doing okay, that's fine. But no, not really. We need to treat each segment of our business like it's its own little mini business. And having that discipline, like we heard this word all the time when we started our careers in corporate finance, is discipline. And finance is just discipline, right? It's understanding exactly what is happening in each line of business and then doing strategies to increase your margins. Basically, increase how much you make, right? For every single dollar you're spending in your company. So we could talk about this forever. There's a lot, but it's really that discipline of sitting down, understanding your numbers, your seasonality, and stretching yourself to reach those goals based off of, metrics and forecasts that you can create for yourself.
Oh, I love that. That's great advice. Thank you.
Yeah, I know numbers. Sometimes when we talk about numbers, it's like goes over people's heads.
It's the toughest one because it can, if you go too detailed, then you lose them.
And there's so many, right? There's financial statements. I just want business owners to know it's okay if you don't know this stuff. Like we only learned about this because we studied finance in college and then started our careers in finance, but it's not something that comes naturally for a lot of people. And so just look at it as another challenge. You're learning something else about your business. You don't have to specialize in it. You can find people to help you. But it should be front and center of your strategy for everything you do.
Yeah.
And we learned it from the corporate world. It's those 12 months, you do a forecast, you do a plan, then you check in every month. And then you didn't hit your number, then you say why you didn't hit your number. And it's just the more you do that, the more comfortable you get understanding that. And then we've taken those principles and used it in our personal life where we've budgeted out what we want to hit every year for, till 2030 or something like that.
No, budgets are really important too. Yeah, I think having finances for business owners explained in plain English, if that makes sense, is important to us because I know that at one point I worked with my ex-husband who handled all the finances for the business. And after he left, I was, just kind of stuck on my own to figure all that out. And I didn't even know really what a balance sheet was, Right. And then you have to figure that out. But, a lot of times our accountants come in and talk to us, and my accountant would come in and it would be like, wah, 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 wah. You know what I mean?
We're the same way with
I'm not
accountants
understanding
sometimes.
anything that he's like, he'll be there with an hour, and I'll be like, what did he just tell me? I have no idea what you just said to me. I'm more confused than I was when but before he came in, so I think having consultants like you helping us really understand and explaining it is really helpful. I mean, I had to learn a lot on the way, kind of on my own, but now I just know that it's just so important to have people help you with it and help you understand.
Absolutely. And there's such an interesting marketing synergy too with it because often let's say you're selling a product, and actually this is a great example. I was working on the business makeover. We'll probably talk about this in a little bit, but our last winter, they were creating skincare products that were targeted towards men, and they wanted to be more on the luxury side. When you ask them from a marketing perspective, who's your client? It was somebody aged 35 to 55. They typically shop at, boutiques or small local places. They were selling their products at flea markets, Right. And a flea market isn't attracting the person that you said you wanted to bring into your business. And that's going to bring a lower dollar value into your company. And so it's really like this monthly practice and discipline of finances is important. And then understanding how your purchasing paths are also driving the revenue coming in. And that fits into marketing really, I think, seamlessly. So maybe that's a language that other people understand more. It's like you sell your product at a flea market or you sell it at Nordstrom's. You know, it's going to be very different in terms of what kind of value people are perceiving for your products.
Right. Yep. Marketing does have a big play in all that, for sure.
They do, yeah.
Making sure you're marketing to the right person.
Yes.
You can waste a lot of time and energy doing something wrong.
Yeah, and money, right? So,
yeah,
absolutely.
That's great. And then one of the things that you do specialize in is something that I probably need myself, even, I'm 25 years in business and I've never had a business plan before for CEA.
Yeah.
A lot of people start I know. What's the percentage of businesses that start a company without a business plan?
It's pretty high. I want to say it's like 90% or something.
90.
Definitely over 50. So I'd say between 50 and 90. But.
The success, though, I think it's something businesses who have a business plan usually last longer. There's like the statistic of most businesses fail within 2 years.
And they grow 30 to 40% faster than a business without a business plan.
Yes. So it's pretty high. I don't know the stats. Maybe we can add that later.
Yeah. I mean, one of the most frustrating things we hear is people say, like, I don't need a business plan. I hear you create a business plan and then you actually run your business and it's out the window. And I would argue a good business plan is the foundation of the business because it's always a place that you can reference, keep that long-term perspective in mind, and then it helps you build a block step by step to get to where you want to go.
And
hold yourself accountable
every year.
Yeah, and that's what we learned in corporate America as well, is you have a 1-year plan, you have a 5-year plan, and then you have like a 10-year plan.
Yes.
And the 1-year plan is, what do I want to accomplish in the next 12 months? And then you always reference to the 5-year plan and saying, how am I tracking towards that 5-year plan?
Yeah, I mean, all the successful companies, do you think Apple had a business plan when Steve Jobs started it? Maybe, but that's definitely been updated every single year, probably every month since that's happened, and that allows for growth. But I think, to Brent's point, there's been this, business plan is like one time done, but it's really a living, breathing document.
It helps you. And I would say even for seasoned businesses like myself, I know that if you're in 25 years of business, like right now, my big thing is, okay, my exit plan.
Right.
Okay.
Start thinking about that.
Yeah, because I know I want to have, I got 10 good years left in me before I want to be like just consulting whoever takes over my company at that time. And how can I get there?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's critical, right? Because then you have to think about who you want to hand off the business to and start developing them, when you need to hire them, if it's internal, or do you just sell the business entirely, but you keep the assets of the commercial space and then lease that out? Those are all the things that we would work through.
And how to increase the value of your company before you do pass it on, right? So you can get as much as you can for...
If you decide to sell.
Yeah.
Is that one of the things you help businesses with?
Yeah, start structuring their finances, because when you sell a business, there's different components of how it can be valued. One of it is the free cash flow that the business is generating. Then there's like the accounts that you could have under contract and the continuation there. What the space could be leased for, that's one way you can value it. But all of these components combine together to come up with a valuation and actions you can take to make your business more valuable 3 or 4 years from now will help in that process.
Right. Yeah, I'm getting approached from a lot of different business, what do they call it, equity?
Yeah.
A type where, like marketing companies are really attractive
Private
right now.
equity, or is it just...
Yeah, just, I guess, companies looking to buy marketing companies right now.
Yeah.
So that's pretty hot right now. So I'm just like, or I'm sure it's happening with a lot of different businesses out there of how can we, consolidate. Which is a cool thing, but I think a lot of businesses like mine, it's like, yeah, I would love to do that, but just understanding what that process is of going into that. And then the other thing is or if I want to hold on to my business and just get as much out of it as I can, and then at the end maybe turn it into just consulting or something.
Right.
Yeah.
So just working with a professional like you all to help go
like,
through all that.
Need a business plan.
But that's exactly what our outside perspective brings to people, because I'm sure in your heart, like, you have all of these different ideas of what you want to do. And then we sit with people, flush out some of those ideas, present what those different avenues could look like. And then it's, you look at it and say, well, this is what I really want. Like, I want to still be involved in my business. So then maybe like selling your business isn't the right path.
Yeah.
But those are the things that we'll flush out with that high level perspective.
Yeah. No, it's great. And we need it. We need a plan like that. My other question for the two of you is, I see that husband and wife working together.
Yes.
I guess you get a lot of that. Like how do you work together, and how do you make it so you still have a happy marriage?
Great question. The $1 million question.
We were talking before, and we get this question all the time. It's definitely been, this is called learning curves. Working together as a married couple is a learning curve. And I think when we first started, we were getting too involved with each other's clients and businesses, and we'd both be tackling a problem. But as we've grown, we've learned to separate our lines of business, where I do more business plan focus. Maggie does more implementation and working with clients one-on-one to help get them there. Creating boundaries has been a really important part. We basically have this policy that after like 5 p.m. on a day, if I try to talk business or Maggie tries to talk business and the other person just says, no, we'll pick it up in the morning. Like, that's just a cutoff valve that we've created to make sure that we don't
It's like
blend.
a safe word.
Yeah.
If you talk about business, I'm going to lose it. We need to get back to our relationship. I think what's been really interesting too is learning and growing in our personal relationship while having a business. Of course, there are challenges. I am so guilty. We're very professional people. Our background was super professional, and like Brent used to get in trouble for rolling up his sleeves where we first started. So we did actually work together. That's how we met 9 years ago. And we were just friends and then kind of went our separate ways. But I have a tendency, I'll say, this is Brent, my business partner and husband. And it's like, he's like, you're saying I'm your business partner first, not your husband, right? And so it's like learning the roles that we want to play and understanding what that looks like. But boundaries is huge. And we were joking about this too, but I do think it's interesting. Another theme that we've seen is a lot of partners, not necessarily married, but like girlfriend, boyfriends, we see them going into business together. And it's an interesting one. And I think it could work. But there needs to be, if you're going to do business together, you need to sit down and have a conversation and be realistic, even if you're married, of what that looks like and what the boundaries are. If you aren't married, you should probably talk to a lawyer and figure out what happens to your business if you break up, because that's a real concern. And we've worked with clients who have broken up and their business basically like gets destroyed because of it. And it is a very serious thing, right? To work with a partner.
Yeah, business will add stressors in a relationship. So I feel like if you're a boyfriend or girlfriend, it will be a make or break moment pretty quickly.
Yeah, you got to be really careful about that.
And marriages too, but
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun, but it's not for everyone, that's for sure.
No, I like the idea of the boundaries. I think a lot of people take their work home with them, and you really can't do that. You need to focus on, having a loving relationship when you're home and enjoying each other and on a different level other than just business.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people might get too wrapped up into that or find themselves arguing at night, and it's not healthy at all. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Boundaries.
Yes, my favorite word. It was resiliency and boundaries. Those are my words from 2020.
No, I think that's great advice. Yeah. I love it. I worked with my ex-husband, and it didn't work out so well for us. And I think if we would have had some good advice from some people like you, how to deal with that a little bit better, you never know what would have happened. But it's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we definitely don't have it right, but you never know where relationships go. You never know where business is going to go. So it's kind of a faith leap as well.
Yeah. I guess one other thing that's worked for us too is we have like a board of directors meeting, what we call it, once a week, where we just align, talk about everything going on in their business, and that's used as our check-in point with each other to see what the other's working on, and that kind of prevents us from just randomly rambling about our business at different times of the week and dragging the other person into conversations. Like, this is our set time throughout the week to talk about common
That's
things.
smart. I love that. That's great. So you have something that you're doing for the business community right now that's very exciting that I think a lot of Pinellas-based businesses are going to want to know about. Can we want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So we are part of something called the Business Makeover Pinellas. So what it is, it started last year. We are a group of 5 entrepreneurs who decided to volunteer their time and give a business a free makeover. So it came because COVID was so hard for the small business community. A group of us, mostly based in Dunedin, came together and said, hey, we have, our talents. We want to give back to the community and help a small business who has struggled through COVID. And so last year we decided to offer a business a free business plan, rebrand of their company if they're interested, from logo to branding, photography, website refresh, as well as marketing and podcast exposure. We basically went out to the community, said, hey, if anyone's interested, apply. We had 30 to 40 applicants, and we chose a winner, which I talked about earlier, who has an incredible skincare company, and they're called Natural Awakening. This year, we're back bigger than ever. We also have a social media person who's joining the team. We've partnered with you guys, Second Soul. I'm so excited to bring people to this space. Mm-hmm. And we are, right now, applications are live through January 31st. And we are just looking to boost a business. It's valued about $15,000 of services they get. And it's really just our love letter to the community, our act of goodwill to say we want to help a small business succeed. So really, really excited. We provide, of course, the business plan, but we're working with Kay Coastal Designs, who does logo and rebranding. We're working with
She's great. I love her.
Oh my gosh, amazing. My Computer Angel, she's doing the web design. Jess Vegas is doing photography, and Donnie Hathaway is doing our marketing and podcasting. So super, super excited and hope as many people as possible apply. You just have to be based in Pinellas County and have to be considered a small business, which basically means you make less than $2.5 million a year.
I love it. Yeah. Make sure you apply for that opportunity. That's amazing. $15,000 in services, and there's 5 different consultants that they get to work with.
And it's basically a 1 to 2 month process. So we literally come into your company. It was kind of based off of, if you've ever seen Bar Rescue, the TV show, or Queer Eye.
Yeah, love those shows.
Yes. Right. So we show up to your business if you have a physical one, or you come to us if you're more service-based, and you get to meet us, spend a ton of time with us. So it's a lot of dedication on the business owner's side, but at the end of it, it's the before and after pictures of last year were incredible, and just what we were able to do in that short period of time, so heartwarming. So very excited.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Yay. So make sure you apply because you could be the lucky winner.
Yes, and it's businessmakeoverpinellas.com.
Okay, great. And we'll make sure that we put that in the show notes as well, where you can click on it and go to the application and sign up. So all the information about your business and ways that you can get in touch with them on social will also be in the show notes.
Good.
So one last question, probably working backwards on this question, but how did you all decide that you wanted to start a consulting business? What made you want to do that? Because getting into business is a definite, it's a risk and everything. So, only certain types of people are really great at being an entrepreneur. So what made you decide that you wanted to go into business?
Well, I think Maggie had always had this dream, and I kind of got on board over time. But we were both working in corporate America for Delta Airlines on the finance and strategy side. And, it's great working for a corporation, but when you do, your work, it doesn't really feel like you're making that impact at all. Mm-hmm. So Maggie wanted to start her own business around 2025. COVID happened, and we both took a look in the mirror and said, maybe now is the opportunity for us to leave the airline because it's struggling so much. And let's go for it right now. We don't have kids, so we said if we're going to take risks, let's go for it. And we decided just to talk to small businesses and learn what their problems were before we officially jumped off. So we got all this knowledge, and we said, small businesses just don't have that high level, like we were talking about earlier. Mm-hmm. Small businesses are passionate about what they do, but they might not have that business background or experience.
Right.
So that's really, I guess, how we shaped our business and said, let's use the skills that we've acquired in corporate America and then work with these small businesses, help the communities, economic development, all of that good stuff and be an impactful player in the communities we're living in.
Yeah. And we both were raised in environments where we had family members in the small business community. And that, I think, really shaped our lives. So I loved working for Delta Airlines. We got to fly for free. We lived in France for a couple years as consultants.
Oh, wow.
We had a great life. And in many ways, it was very risky. So, right, it's having a partner in a business together. I always thought I would quit and start this company, and Brent would stay with a paycheck coming and health benefits coming every month. But he said, "Oh, you're going to have too much fun. I'm going to join." Right?
Yeah, I didn't want her to have all the fun, so I had to jump in on it.
But it's risky, right? You go from two incomes that are pretty
Stable.
good and stable to starting your own business, having to pay for your own health care, not knowing what's going to happen. And that's, a big stress for anyone who's starting a business. And I would not necessarily recommend you do that. Maybe if you can't have one spouse keep money coming in, it's always good. But we were just honestly so passionate and wanted to help businesses and like our family members who were really, really struggling through COVID. So it was a good combination, and it's been so fun. We've learned so much. The corporate world, the skills we learned definitely translate, but it's refining that language like you mentioned, right? We had lingo we could talk about in the corporate world.
Yeah, balance sheet is a great example. Like when we're working business plans, I'm like, all right, so what are your assets, liabilities, like shareholders' equity? And people
People are like, huh?
I'm like, all right, asset, something that you can resell, some liability, something that you owe somebody else, like a loan, and it's just breaking it down into.
Yeah, and I think it's been really fun, very rewarding, and we've been honored. We're working with the Dunedin Chamber of Commerce, so we've really gotten into the community, which has been fantastic.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yep, the more involved you get in the community, people get to know you.
Absolutely. It's been great for our career. And we actually own a second business too. So it's just growing, but that second business is more property management. But it's like, once you get the bug of being an entrepreneur, it's really hard to stop. So next time you chat with us, maybe we'll have like 10 businesses.
I know. I'm the same way. I'm always coming up with something that I want to do.
Yeah.
My fiance is like, calm down, stop starting businesses.
Yeah, it's fun.
But it's fun. I like it. Why can't I start another company?
Yeah, it is fun. It is tiring, but yeah.
You learn so much by doing, though, and I think that's where we kind of get our passion from, is trying new things, seeing what works, and then adjusting if it doesn't work. And I always tell people this, like, we have clients who are like, I failed or something, or I didn't do this. And I'm like, you learn more from your failures. And I think that's one of the biggest truths in business or life in general. You'll learn more and take away more from that failure than you will from a success any day.
Oh, you will. That's what builds your success, are those failures.
Yeah.
Sure.
And people in the
can't
moment,
be afraid of that.
people at the moment lose sight of that, but 2 to 3 years, you don't know how what's happening today is going to impact you in the future.
You look back, I'm like, yeah, I did this and that, but it helps you grow so much and be a better business person.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. But do you have anything else?
No, just for those of you listening, you don't have, please reach out to us, but you can also build your own business plan. So I think if we stress anything, hopefully somebody takes away of just having a little bit more discipline on a monthly meeting, put your CEO cap on and ask yourself questions that you would ask other business owners and go from there. But we wish everyone success in their entrepreneurial journey. And if we can ever help anybody listening, please let us know. But very excited to be here today. And thank you for this. This has been so fun.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, the studio's so official. It's so nice in here.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's really nice. I love it in here. You've given us some really great advice. And localunion.com, is that how?
It's local-union.com.
Local-union.com. Again, that will be in the show notes with links to the website and also their social media as well.
Yep, at Local Union LLC.
And their email address if you want to reach out for any questions. Thank you so much for joining Learning Curves today. Please remember, if you go on to any of the podcasting places like Spotify, please leave a review and like us on YouTube. Leave a comment. Let us know how you like the show. And we're looking forward to seeing you next week. Have a good day.
Second Soul Studios is a full-service production studio with capabilities for photo, video, podcasting, editing, co-working, and more. Our photo-video studio has a number of different backdrop choices and props to choose from. We also have a gourmet kitchen set, Or if you're an upstart podcaster, you'll love our 4-person podcast studio. So what are you waiting for? Visit secondsoulstudios.com to book a tour today.